Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. So I love the idea that whenever I'm off from work, a trade always happens. It allows me to make some content for the day. And we got a trade that's very interesting, and I actually kind of like it for both sides. I don't really understand Charlotte's point of it, but the Charlotte Hornets are finalizing a deal to send Terry Rozier to the Miami Heat for Kyle Lowry and a 2027 first-round draft pick. Apparently, the Hornets are looking to take Kyle Lowry in and then flip him for something else. But Terry Rozier is a huge pickup for the Miami Heat. I gotta be honest, man. Terry Rozier is a baller. But the thing is, Terry Rozier really didn't fit what the Charlotte Hornets are trying to do. The Charlotte Hornets would like to free up some cap space. They get to do that. They get to come off Terry Rozier's contract. Gordon Hayward is on an expiring deal. I'm sure they're attempting to move him, but that's probably unlikely to happen. Kyle Lowry is a guy that I really don't know what they're going to be able to get for him, simply because the fact of the matter is, the Heat struggled to move Kyle Lowry. So the idea that they got Terry Rozier out of this, I think, is a huge win, because Terry Rozier can ball. All right? Like, I think we all know Terry Rozier is not a bad basketball player. And from what I understand, so the Charlotte Hornets are getting a 2027 first-round pick from the Heat. So they're getting Kyle Lowry and a 2027 first-round pick. That's not bad. I mean, Terry Rozier is worth a first-round pick, but this makes Miami a whole lot better. They finally got a backup point guard that is good at facilitating, all right? Like, he's a guy that can get some buckets. I mean, I haven't looked up what Terry Rozier is shooting this year as far as percentages, because the fact of the matter is they're 10-31. They're not a team I'm paying attention to. They're one of the worst teams in the NBA. But if we look at his numbers this year, Terry Rozier scoring 23 a game, shooting 45% from the field, about 36% from three, and 84% from the free throw line, and 6.5 assists a game, 1 steal, and 23 points a game. That's not bad. I'm not gonna lie. That's not a bad trade for the Miami Heat. Plus, Terry Rozier's 29. He's a lot younger than Kyle Lowry. From the Hornets' perspective, you get the first-round pick. I really don't know what they could flip Kyle Lowry for. I'm just going to call it what it is. Like, I really don't know. I mean, if I'm correct, Kyle Lowry's making like $29 million this year, if I'm correct. If I go to the Miami Heat, yeah, Kyle Lowry's making $29.6 million, and he's 37 years old. The only teams trading for Kyle Lowry are going to be people looking to get off of certain contracts. I know the Orlando Magic are looking to get rid of Wendell Carter Jr., possibly even Jonathan Isaac. That would maybe be one option for them. In order to get Jonathan Isaac on their roster. Wendell Carter Jr. is not a bad center, but they have Mark Williams. The other thing is, maybe they're trying to make a deal for Zach LaVine. That's the other thing that I could think of in this, is like they send Kyle Lowry to the Chicago Bulls plus stuff. Maybe they trade that 2027 first-round pick to get them Zach LaVine, but they are a team that's rumored to be in the hunt for Zach LaVine, so this makes a little more sense for them. They get a guy who's about $30 million. That means they get to include like $10 million worth of just bonus shit with it, and that might just be enough to get you Zach LaVine. So if you're the Hornets, I get why you did it. You had to come off Terry Rozier's contract anyway. If you're the Miami Heat, you get a backup point guard that is significantly better than Kyle Lowry. I mean, you get a guy who's averaging 23 points a game, and that with LaMelo Ball being out. So I like the trade for both teams, but it's official that trade season is officially underway here. I told you guys, by the end of the week, things are going to start ramping up, and sure enough, it's Tuesday, and we're already starting to get some trades. Honestly, Charlotte, like they also said, Charlotte is going to continue to be active. If we look at their roster, they got a bunch of guys that I'm just like, I really can't see them bringing these guys back. Like, they just acquired Kyle Lowry. I mean, a couple guys on their roster that they'd maybe really want to get rid of is Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward's a guy they might want to get rid of. James Bouknight's a guy that could possibly be on the move. He's a guy that just doesn't see much burn for them. But those are the contracts on their team that are just really bad. If they can get rid of, they already got rid of Rozier. If they can get rid of Gordon Hayward and bring something of significance in, they're going to want to do that. And honestly, man, speaking of the Hornets, I'm shocked, like absolutely astonished that the new ownership hasn't changed anything with this team. They haven't changed anything in the front office. They haven't changed head coaches. They haven't really made any trade moves. Usually when new ownership takes over, you get a new head coach, the team starts making moves, you get a new general manager. This is a move that is very speculative. Everybody who is still under the regime of Michael Jordan is still there. So I don't really know, man. I'm not quite sure what the Charlotte Hornets plan to do, but Terry Rozier was a nice contract to get off of. You're wasting cap room space on a guy that doesn't move the needle for you. At least in Miami, he moves the needle for Miami. I think that's a big deal in this because, they've really needed a backup point guard since they got rid of Gabe Vincent. And, Gabe Vincent walked in free agency. Kyle Lowry's just been really a cancer to their salary cap. So the idea that they get Terry Rozier here is a really nice move. I like the idea that the Hornets are getting off his contract. If they can get off Gordon Hayward's contract without buying him out, that would be a huge win for the Hornets. Maybe you could get some youth for a guy like Gordon Hayward. I kind of doubt it, but you never know. It would have been nice if they could have maybe gotten a young player in exchange also in that deal for Terry Rozier, not just a future first-round pick, but I guess the Hornets have enough young players. They have LaMelo Ball, they have Brandon Miller, they have Miles Bridges, they have James Bouknight, Mark Williams, Nick Smith Jr. So, I don't know, maybe they didn't need another young guy. Like, a lot of guys on their roster are, like, under the age of 25. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I do feel like I don't really know what they're going to get for Kyle Lowry. I mean, they're not going to buy him out. They're just going to keep him on the roster and let him go at the end of the season. So, but big salary cap move for the Charlotte Hornets. They've been they've been a team that's been strapped for cap space ever since they signed Terry Rozier. And honestly, the Terry Rozier contract was really not a good one. I understand at the time they needed a point guard, and that's fine. But when they signed him, I believe, to a second extension. And I was kind of like, well, what the fuck is the point of this? It was like a 4-year extension, and Terry Rozier is good, but I was just like, he's not what the doctor ordered for the Charlotte Hornets. So the idea that they were able to get off him is very, very actually kind of shocking because I didn't think any team was going to want him, but Miami makes some sense because they desperately need a backup point guard. Like, ever since Gabe Vincent walked in free agency and Kyle Lowry being on an expiring deal, like, Terry Rozier is just a nice fit for them. Do I think this moves the needle for Miami? Not a whole lot, but I do think it's a good move. I think it definitely makes them better than they previously were. Terry Rozier, maybe not the same defender that Kyle Lowry is, but when it comes to just flat out getting buckets, Terry Rozier is capable of that. He's also a decent distributor. So, I don't know, man. We'll have to wait and see what else happens. But so far, this is the second major deal, I would say, since the trade deadline is approaching. First it was OG Anunoby, then it was Pascal Siakam, and now we have Terry Rozier. I'm gonna be honest. I think the Hornets could move off of Gordon Hayward. I think there's enough teams in the league that would maybe take him on in order to get off another guy. One team that immediately comes to mind is the Warriors. They're looking to get off Andrew Wiggins. I mean, granted, he's got 4 years left on his deal. If you're Charlotte, maybe you're not interested in that. But it also beats getting rid of Gordon Hayward for nothing. Maybe you revive Andrew Wiggins' career. I don't know. They really don't need Wiggins also. That's the flip side of this is they have Brandon Miller. They have Miles Bridges. Do you really want to add Andrew Wiggins to that? I guess is the major question. Also, moving off Terry Rozier makes me also inclined to believe that the Charlotte Hornets are going to offer Miles Bridges a contract extension. If they haven't already. He's one guy that I'm absolutely shocked that they haven't worked out an extension with yet because he's been fucking balling this year. I mean, when LaMelo Ball has been out, he's been their go-to guy. And I know people don't like him because of the domestic violence situation and stuff like that, but when it comes to being a basketball player, Miles Bridges is pretty fucking good. So that's another thing that I think, like, another reason this happened is the idea that it opens up a lot of future cap space for what they can offer Miles Bridges. If I was a betting man, I would say they're maybe going to give Miles Bridges the max, or at least close to the max, just because he's been playing very well this year, and he's clearly gotten better as a player. If we look at Miles Bridges' stats, Miles Bridges is shooting 47%, he's shooting 46% from the field this year and 35% from the three and 87% from the free throw line. Like I said, in the games that LaMelo Ball has been out, he's averaging 20 points a game. He's averaging 1 steal a game, 2.9 assists, almost 7 boards. He's a 20-7 guy, 27-3 guy. He's played 30 games this year, started for 28 of them. He's shooting 87% from the free throw line, which is a really fucking good. It kind of makes sense. They moved off of Terry Rozier, and I don't know, maybe they don't get a deal done by the trade deadline. I could be wrong. I'd be shocked if they didn't, but I feel like Miles Bridges is a guy that you cannot let enter unrestricted free agency. Regardless of what people think of him, he's a guy that is going to command, someone's going to give him a max contract. Okay, let me put it to you that way. If Charlotte doesn't offer him a max deal, somebody in free agency is going to. And, that somebody could be the 76ers. If you add Miles Bridges to that 76ers team, suddenly you have Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Miles Bridges. And if I'm the Hornets, I want to prevent that from happening, right? Because they're a team that's going to have cap space. The Detroit Pistons are a team that's going to have cap space. They could really use his services. He's still young. He's 25. The Warriors are going to be another team. They're going to try to move some pieces around to create some cap space. So if you're the Charlotte Hornets, you simply cannot let Miles Bridges enter unrestricted free agency, because somebody is probably going to offer him more money than you. So if I'm the Hornets, I'm looking to get this deal done, and I feel like that was a big reason why they got off of Terry Rozier. Even if they just, retain his rights and offer him more money in the offseason than another team can, that's also a possibility here. Once Gordon Hayward and Kyle Lowry are off the books at the end of the season, they can renounce their rights to those guys and, maintain their rights on Miles Bridges and offer him a contract bigger than probably everybody else can, which it makes sense when you think about it. But, maybe they want to get this deal done as soon as possible and try to do it before February 8th. There's the contract deadline, if I'm correct, is like a week or two after the trade deadline. So they've got less than a month here to work something out with Miles Bridges. And I think that this Terry Rozier trade was a step in that direction. I have a feeling that getting rid of Terry Rozier was something they were looking to do so they could offer that future money to a guy like Miles Bridges. So I like it from all standpoints, to be honest with you. It would have been nice if they could have got back a young player from Miami along with that deal, but I understand why they didn't. It's going to be what's going to be, but all in all, the trade makes sense for both teams, especially when it comes to retaining Miles Bridges. If anything, Miles Bridges, I think, has the ability to be better than Terry Rozier. He's been a damn good he's a damn good on-ball defender. Honestly, Charlotte's not that bad on defense. I know they're not an astounding team. They're 29th out of 30 teams in defensive rating, but they got some dudes on their team that can actually play defense. Miles Bridges is one of them, and Mark Williams is the second guy. So, if they can retain those guys, I think this was a huge deal for them. So, tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. I like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more. I'm the Fast Break Report, and I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.